I don't know what the big deal is about the fact that Caitlin is getting a lot of love. She deserves that, and she's helped change this game just as a lot of other players have. But it is what it is. And I think that we are all benefiting from the effects that she's had on the game. And I just appreciate the way she...
When a Hall of Famer interrupts someone's podcast and shares more truth than a finals post-game presser, you know it's a crazy day in women's basketball. Lisa Leslie did more than merely defend recently. Caitlin Clark gave a masterclass on the poise attitude. And yes, she was humble. Angel Reese had a front row seat to what can only be characterized as the most elegant clapback in podcast history on her own show, which drew thousands of listeners.
And in my season 2, what's some advice that you would give for me?
Season 2, I can't wait to work with you some more. The biggest advice I have for you is going to be how you shoot your layups, period.
It wasn't about beef, it was about growth. And let's face it, someone had to say something. While the internet has been exploding over the Clark versus Reese saga, with fans making it into a Marvel-level rivalry, Lisa Leslie showed up playing a completely different game. She didn't take sides. Instead, she elevated the conversation by praising Clark's impact on the league one day and giving Reese the kind of mentorship you don't get in practice the next.
She literally got called out for missing layups. I mean, on her own damn...
Let's go back a little. For months, it seemed like Caitlin Clark couldn't breathe without some WNBA veteran giving her the side eye or a passive-aggressive quote. From tweets full of jealousy to full-on body checks on the court, it was obvious that some members of the league weren't welcoming her. When Lisa Leslie, one of the WNBA's founding queens, stepped up and said, "Actually, Caitlin's doing everything right," it hit like a game winner at the buzzer.
You want to see more WNBA people saying this, and it's just...
Lisa Leslie, who essentially established the WNBA's foundation, dunked before it was fashionable, and who is well-versed in what it takes to run a league. So when she asserts that Caitlin Clark is the genuine deal, people pay attention. This wasn't just another viewpoint from the peanut gallery.
Understand that when one player eats, we all eat. And as we all get more opportunities, it just opens it up for everyone else. And I think Caitlin has said that even herself in certain interviews. And I love that. I love that she's not the player who's like, it's all about her. It's not. She's giving love and homage to those of us that have come before her. She shares the wealth with her teammates, and she doesn't have to do that. So I just don't, again, I don't know what the big deal is about the fact that Caitlin is getting a lot of love. She deserves that, and she's helped change this.
Additionally, Lisa appreciated Clark's humility and willingness to help the legends who came before her in a league where some players act as like they invented the crossover, in addition to praising his skill. Clark's reverence for the game's past was particularly evident, as Lisa pointed out when she exclaimed, "Are you all even paying attention?" in a loud voice, because Caitlin was out here delivering flowers to the pioneers while some were busy griping about camera time.
She's a competitor. She's a trash talker. She makes players around her better. She's exciting to watch. And quite frankly, I've missed seeing her. Being at Unrivaled, I wish that she was there. I've missed seeing her play. So I really look forward to seeing her back out there. But as I do all of the WNBA players, we are really watching a very exciting level of basketball.
Let's discuss the pivotal event that truly left people speechless. Leslie didn't merely defend from the sidelines. She confronted Reese directly, sitting down with her on her podcast in an environment where Angel Reese controlled the microphone and the editing button. When Lisa Leslie became a full-fledged truth-teller, she looked Reese in the eye and pointed out her biggest flaw, those bricked layups.
The biggest advice I have for you is going to be how you shoot your layups, period. We're going to fix that. Yeah. That's fixable for you. And I think that's probably the biggest. I think your shot from the outside is improving. I love that your ball handling is good. Your defense.
Let's take a moment to appreciate the circumstances. You expect some legacy talk, maybe a few giggles and a girl power vibe when you bring a legend on your show. But instead you get your personal problems airing out like laundry in front of thousands of listeners. It wasn't mean or petty, but it was genuine, and to be honest, it was the kind of coaching moment Reese might not get anywhere else.
Where she literally needs to put up 300 shots a day. And I'm not kidding. 200 or 300 shots a day. and that's missed layups. She's 6'3" or 6'4", can't hit a layup to save her life, and literal videos have went mega viral of just her missing layups in game.
In the same way that a Hall of Famer would pull a struggling rookie aside and say, "You have the tools, but your fundamentals need work. If Angel is intelligent, she will take it as a gift." Lisa didn't drag Reese. Instead, she taught her, which is what makes her such a force. She also didn't embarrass Angel. Instead, she elevated her by speaking the truth.
You got to go out there and prove yourselves. And listen, are we going to get upset about 5, 6, 10 games less on television or not? I don't think we should. We have access to find these games now in a way that we never had before. And we have to appreciate that, and all these platforms that support.
Lisa knows better than anyone else in the league that when the stars rise, everyone wins. And Caitlin Clark isn't just rising. She's taking the world by storm. Leslie reminded everyone that veterans are not in danger because of Clark's prominence. Rather, it is a rising tide. More viewers translate into more revenue, more media attention, more seats filled, and, most importantly, a future in which both veterans and newbies receive the compensation they are due. Leslie even directly addressed the controversy around Clark's TV time.
Stephen A. Smith had a very interesting discourse with Fee recently over the number of games the Fever have broadcasted this season compared to other teams who have also got stars on them. So curious what you make of W's decision to lean into highlighting its stars.
Should focus on showcasing its stars while players like Reese and others gripe about Clark's squad receiving so few national games. As a professor, Leslie explained that when one of us eats, we all eat. In other words, if you're upset about TV slots, you ought to praise her for increasing the audience.
I think it's all about money, marketing, and we cannot deny what Caitlin Clark has done for the women's game. I'm not going to act like it's something that we don't see. She's had a huge effect called the Caitlin Clark effect. Yes, have we ever had teams have to get into larger arenas to play against a team? No, we have not. So if we have more eyeballs on the game and Caitlin Clark brings that, why would we feel some kind of way because she has more television games?
Recall how Caitlin Clark's college success at Iowa was questioned by certain players and even ESPN just because she failed to win a national championship.
I'm curious, where would you rank her amongst all-time college players, in your opinion?
Ooh, that's tough because you got to win one. I feel like that college is one of those spaces where you got to win one for them to even have your name in the conversation. And it took me 3 years to win mine, so
It took me 3 years to win mine, so it was difficult. Well, guess what? Leslie clapped back on that too. I'm curious where you would rank her among all-time college players. Oh, that's tough because she had to win one. I feel like that college is one of those places where you have to win one to even have your name in the conversation.
If you think winning an NCAA championship is needed for that eventual GOAT conversation, greatest of all time status?
Absolutely not. I didn't win an NCAA championship. I was National Player of the Year. I won all of the individual awards, but sometimes, it's very hard to win a national championship, regardless of how much people talk about it, like, oh, you have to have it. It is one of the hardest things to do in a tournament where you have so many games and you're trying to get there. So yeah, shout out to all of the players who were able to win national championships, but it doesn't make a player who didn't win a national championship any less of an amazing individual player and the possibility to be in the talks of being a GOAT. For sure.
Then Lisa replied, Clark deserves all of this attention, the endorsements, the hype, because she's changing the game. Not hype, but a coronation coming from someone who actually changed the game herself.
Hey, listen, Caitlin, I am so thankful for her. I'm thankful for all of these women and where this game is, and we have to step back and see the big picture and how it's impacting all of us.
Listen up, Caitlin Clan. We need to take a step back and consider the wider picture and how this game is affecting all of us. So what did we observe that went beyond a defense of Caitlin Clark? I am very grateful for her and for all of these ladies. Not only was it a critique of Angel Reese, but it was also a moment when one of the greatest players in history reminded everyone of how leadership truly works. You uplift others, correct them, and most importantly, you speak the truth, even if it's on someone else's microphone. After all, Lisa Leslie isn't here to play favorites. She's here to improve the game, and Caitlin Clark is demonstrating every day that she's more than just a media sensation. She's the Lisa Leslie of the future Lisa Leslie has been waiting for.
Lisa Leslie is completely on the money here. And that's just a problem when it comes to a lot of the old WNBA, is that they just can't. They just can't not even wrap their head around. They can't just accept, okay, this person is more popular than.
Instead of receiving a standing ovation, Angel Reese received something far more valuable. A reality check from Lisa Leslie. Not only that, but she also gave him a straight-up masterclass on layups, which are among the first skills a player learns in youth basketball for someone who calls herself the Bayou. You would think a player would dream of basking and nothing but praise from a Hall of Famer. It might be necessary for Barbie Reese to include a layup lab rat in her Instagram bio.
It's just a fact. She is, it's more than a fact. She is not good at layups. But I was looking at her stats. I jotted some down right here, and she shoots an abysmal 39% from the field. She shot below 50% on shots less than 5 feet away, which is bad. And even worse than that is that shots from 5 to 9 feet, 13.
Angel's podcast featured Lisa highlighting Angel Reese's finishing struggles at the rim in the sweetest, most big sisterly way possible. This wasn't some sophisticated analysis. Rather, it was a WNBA legend tactfully pointing out that if you're going to be the face of a franchise, you probably shouldn't be missing bunnies under the basket.
This is like WNBA leveling up and all eyes on her now. I think that she knows that she has to completely restructure her form, because that is not the way to be efficient in the post position that she is in. At the post position that she's in, a layup is supposed to be a given. She needs to improve her touch around the rim, like all over the place, but she seems to take these desperation.
This is when things start to get interesting. Angel could have removed the difficult parts from that podcast, as she had total control over it. Parts ignored the criticism and gave her followers the traditional all-love queen rendition, but she didn't let it go because that was a plot twist in and of itself. Perhaps Angel realized that this was sunlight rather than shadow, since Lisa Leslie was attempting to help her grow rather than to make fun of her.
Look, let's give her credit for trying to evolve her game. We have to give her a little credit. I think she realizes my game is incomplete.
It wasn't a one-sided moment either. Leslie didn't come to brag about Reese. Rather, she came to mentor her. She gave Angel kudos for her growing defensive game and congratulated her for her improved ball handling. It wasn't a takedown. Rather, it was a fair performance evaluation from the standpoint of constructive criticism. Only someone who truly cares would put himself in a slightly uncomfortable situation for the sake of development.
Actually happened on Angel's own podcast. Wow. That is pretty embarrassing to have someone come on your podcast and as a professional basketball player, hey, what do you think I need to work on? Layups. Okay, good luck with that, girl.
But the deeper layer appeared next. Leslie speculating that Reese's layup problems could be psychological in nature, the dreaded athlete's curse, rather than merely a mechanical problem for the uninitiated. The yips one day you're automatic, and the next you're making layups like you've never touched a basketball. The yips are like your muscle memory hitting a brick block. Lisa politely but firmly brought up the subject, which sparked a larger discussion about the mental aspect of the game that nobody, especially novices, wants to acknowledge they're having trouble with. This is what sets Leslie apart from other analysts. Not only does she break down boundaries, but she also breaks down tape. She understands that mentoring is about revealing the truth, even when it hurts, and that this type of honesty is uncommon, but it's what legends do.
I'm going to authentically and seriously give Angel Reese credit, because it's a podcast and it's her podcast. And if she wanted to edit that out, she could.
Since it's a podcast and it's Angel Reese's podcast, I'm going to give her credit in an honest and sincere way. She could have edited it out if she wanted to, but here's the twist that nobody anticipated. Angel Reese didn't wince, quit the interview, or clap back with a TikTok. Instead, she allowed the criticism to flow and kept it public. By doing this, she revealed a side of herself that we haven't seen, frequently being humbled in a league where appearance is everything. Fans noticed her vulnerability,